Helvig, and this is part 2 of 1 in a Million. In part 1 I tried to go over 43 years, and it's kind of tough to do in 10 minutes, but get right to the point. The problem I have with the Veterans Administration here in Phoenix is the fact that you go through the process, you play by the rules, and they don't. At least not the ones I'm dealing with. For example, Dr. Quasman was assigned to do my physical on, I think, the 1st of June of 2009. So after 25 years, I finally get to see a VA doctor. Now, it's the VA hospital here, like most major regional centers, is very large. I can barely walk, even with the cane, even after the surgeries. They really didn't fix anything. They took away the initial pain, the constant pain that I was having, but still the pains that I'd have to deal with are still pretty bad. But I seem to be a little bit more mobile. So anyway, it takes me a while to find this doctor's office. I'm a little bit late. He's pretty upset, tells me that. Then he spends the next 10 minutes or so going through his bio, telling me his qualifications and things. And he was basically a flight surgeon in the Air Force, retired bird colonel, 30 years private practice, joined the Veterans Administration Hospital, blah, blah, blah. And I'm pretty impressed. I mean, that's pretty good stuff. And I'm thinking, this is great, because now he's at the VA hospital, and he's a veteran, and he's Air Force. I was Air Force, so a lot of things in common. But as we go through, and I start telling about the injury, and how it was sustained, and where I was at, and I get to the point where I tell him that hitting the ladder, I ended up with a crushed left gluteal muscle, and he will look at me. Now, he has not seen my records. He has not seen anything but my face, basically, as I walked in that office and sat down in his examining room. And he gets right up and he says, "You don't have a crushed gluteal muscle." I said, "Well, I do." And he says, "No, you do not have a crushed gluteal muscle." And I'm thinking, here we go. When he finally gets to the point where he looks at my butt, he declares that what he sees is an area, a scar, where the doctors had drained one of these massive hematomas in 1966. And I said, "Well, are you sure you're not confused with the scar from the surgery in 2007? And indignantly, he lets me know he knows the difference between a scar from a surgery and a scar from draining a hematoma. And I'm thinking, no, you don't. But what are you going to do? Now, the butt crack, like I said before, is distorted horribly. And you'll see that, unfortunately, if you want to watch these. And what it reflects is a deformed spine inside that as a result of the crushed gluteal muscle, which weakened one side, which left the other side stronger, which kind of pulled the spine over. So the spine, instead of coming down straight, it has this 5-degree curve in it, which of course weakens the spine. Not only that, it will tighten, compress the discs and the vertebrae on the inside of that bend, causing compression on the nerve bundles that have to come out the sciatic and the femoral nerve bundles. And we're pretty sure that's kind of what's caused this condition. So it's all related, but he just won't mention it. He will also declare, without seeing me walk, that I have a normal gait, G-A-I-T. I do not. I have not had since 1984, and it's been documented by my doctors, 5 of them, and my physical therapist, and anybody who has ever watched me walk in the last several years, that I have a very abnormal gait. And my ability to walk any distances is I just don't have it. My back, as far as flexing, is so bad that in 2009 I could still flex. Now the difference between bending, like if I'm sitting down, so if this were my hip joint, my butt, my hip joint, and then my back, if flexing of the thoracic lumbar spine is basically like bending a piece of steel, bending a stick, flexing it, not bending at the hip. So they use what they call bubble inclinometers. Quasman not only didn't have any instruments, he had not reviewed my records as he's required to do by law and by VA policy. He will come totally unprepared. 2 pieces of paper. One is just the schedule, where he's supposed to be, who he's going to see, and the other one is a blank piece of paper for taking notes. he finds a rubber mallet so he can find out I don't have any reflexes below the knees, which he documents fairly. But then he stands back at an angle and tells me to bend forward. Well, he's supposed to basically tell me what he's doing, and I'm supposed to try and flex my spine, and then he's supposed to come up and say, okay, and this is about as far as I can go. So he says that's 70 degrees. Well, 70 degrees is way down here somewhere before you get to 90. So 70, 45, 30, 90, or 0. So he lies. Then he does the other 3 axes, and he lies about those as well. Now, the difference between 30, which I can get to because I went to my physical therapist at Advanced Therapy here in Gilbert when I got his evaluation, and using bubble inclinometers, following the instructions, and by my stopping when I got to a point of pain, I got to 28, 28, and 30, and the other measurements were off too. When we provided that to the VA, and Dr. Data got that information plus the pictures we took while we did that, he concurred and basically stated that it was impossible for me to achieve anything beyond 30 degrees because my spine is fused from the 2007 surgery, where he literally took 2 Inconel stainless steel rods and fused L4 and L5 on both sides of the vertebrae on those little butterfly things. So those 2 vertebrae can't even move, and he knows I can't go further than 30 degrees. By law, they have what they call U.S. Code 38. Subsection 3.102 is reasonable doubt, and it basically says if there's a difference between the Veterans Administration doctor and my doctors, or even the veteran, and they're both very supported, that reasonable doubt always goes in favor of the veteran. Well, Quasman doesn't think that should be, so he basically states that any impression that he has cannot be outruled by the impression from anybody else, which is a violation of the law. So anyway, this starts this battle. It's between the bending. He'll say I have a normal gait. I don't. He doesn't verify. He doesn't show that I have the crushgluteal muscle. He doesn't document the abnormal spine. These are all major things. He doesn't talk about bowel and bladder control problems that I have. These he's required to do by law, by U.S. Code. He violates every subsection of U.S. Code. You know, I end up having to appeal, obviously, what he has put forward, and then go back through the process and into what they call a DRO process, which is a decision review hearing, and it's basically my power of attorney, my advocate from Disabled American Veterans, myself, and in this case the decision review officer is Miss Peggy Dingfield. So in Chapter 3 of this ongoing saga, I will discuss the DRO hearing and how that turned out and how the VA violated that process and law as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. Again, leave any comments and share this with a veteran, share this with friends so they kind of know what's going on. And I'm going to give you the evidence you need to feel like this is an honest evaluation. Again, I don't take it personal because I don't know them, they don't know me, and what they're doing is just totally wrong. And I'm sure it affects other veterans other than myself. So thanks for watching.